Oh, you can tell this is going to be a fun review. Dragon Ball, Pokemon, Kaiju, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and welcome to my review of the Figma Kaiba. We finally have Yugi's rival in action figure format, specifically from Max Factory in the Figma line. And I have to say, after the, rather home run that Yugi was, fans have been waiting to see if this release is going to beat out the Vulcan Log and going to be the shining champion on your shelf for the Blue Eyes White Dragon Master. And I do have to say, $80 is... yeah. Anyway, let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. For the most part, Kaiba does actually look pretty nice with minimal quality control issues for the majority of the figure. We do have aspects like silver used for the buckles and studs on him that actually is applied pretty well. We do have smaller detailing like the card on the necklace, which looks good, but in a few key areas, I think they pretty much dropped the ball, and I have to say that I'm not too pleased with my production sample. So what exactly is the main issue here for Kaiba? Unfortunately, it's going to have to be his head. Well, his face to be more specific. You see, overall, the paint application for the default face, and even for the face we're going to see in a little bit, is okay. The paint application isn't too much an issue here. It's more so the sculpt. It looks very soft and doesn't have any truly defined details like you would see in the source material, whether it's the anime or the manga. The issue being here is that Kaiba is very angular, where here it's all rounded. Another issue, which you will see with the alternate face and even the Yugi face that this one comes with, is that it does look like that the eyes that you use to swap out in place of the extra face parts are actually kind of sunken in. They don't fit all the way into the faceplates, and there does leave a little bit of a gap, almost like a shadow, which make the eyes look really weird. It's uncanny. It's in that weird spot where nothing looks like that in real life. It kind of looks like a skeleton in some ways. For the rest of Kaiba, though, he does look great. Again, with the paint applications being stellar in most parts of the figure, such as the KC logo on the left side of his chest, the card on the necklace for him. We do have studs throughout his coat, which are applied well. Not a single drop of paint outside of where it needs to be. Even the buckles on his arms look great as well. Moving on down, though, to his actual, I guess you might say, cape portion of his coat, the paint application does start to get a little bit iffy, specifically on the inside. You see, I had to get a couple of these, one for myself, another for a friend, and in general, the cape portion has had some paint issues on the inside with that white grayish paint being smeared in at least one spot. So that's not very good. Overall, for paint application on Kaiba, they did a rather solid job, except for when there is an issue. There is an issue, and his face doesn't look that great. Now, you may say that this may be nitpicking, but do keep in mind that this figure cost about $80. Alright, so much like Yugi, unfortunately, Kaiba's articulation isn't necessarily the best. It's pretty good. We can get Kaiba into some fun poses, but yeah, he's got a big old coat here with a cape and whatnot, and yeah. So don't expect him to be on a gymnastics team anytime soon. What do we have? Well, we do have red tier neck articulation because he has a whole bunch of hair that is coming back down here, so he can't really look up too much, but he can look down, turn his head left and right thanks to the neck joint that's typically found on Figmas there. So that's pretty solid. We can at least get some movement there. For the shoulders, they are on ball joints when they plug into the body. Do they pop out? Nope, not really. And these shoulder pads are floating, so this way they don't really hinder the articulation that much, as you can clearly see. We can raise and lower them on the hinge that is actually there as well. Do we have a formal bicep swivel? Yes, we do. It's hidden up in here, but that's okay because we can swivel the arms around, which is good. So far, so good. We do have the single elbow hinge, which is found on pretty much all Figmas, so you know what to expect there, and the typical Figma-style wrist joints, which are just going to be swivel hinges, as you can see here, hinging forward and back like that, and then swiveling around. So you know what to expect there. Now, moving on down, this is kind of where Kaiba's articulation goes south. Down. So anyway, so as you can see here, we do have this little bib that extends all the way down, and that can cover up Kaiba's belt. But his range of movement forward is okay. It always wants to just bend back like that. You can clearly see Kaiba wanting to move. So this is supposed to be tucked in, but it never wants to stay tucked in just because of the way that Kaiba moves. You can twist and turn him from side to side, but ooh, that does not look too good with the little flowiness of his coat there. So dynamic poses, maybe not necessarily for this one. It's not necessarily going to look that great. They didn't think about that with the sculpt, but it is what it is there. These two pieces are on Figma style joints, so they can be articulated, which is very good. So you can at least pretend that maybe the wind is blowing for Kaiba if that's something that you want. We do get splits out that far because the legs plug into the hips on ball joints, so you can move them like that. They do swivel around as well, which is good to see. So forward movement out about that far, back about that far. We can probably get a little bit more if you were to move these coattails or cape or whatever you want to call it out of the way, which is good to see. We do have single hinge knee joints alongside with the same joints found in the ankles. So this way we get ankle rocker movement and hinging forward and back along with a toe hinge. So overall, Kaiba's movement, is it perfect? No. But you know what? For the design, that is about what I had expected. Oh, there we go. See? Ball joint. Yeah, that tends to happen a bit with me. So something you may have noticed, this part was not glued in correctly at the factory. At least that's what it looks like, or maybe it broke off. So I was just moving this and it fell off shortly after my unboxing video. So that's great to see there. Yep, and I haven't heard back from Good Smile or Max Factory about it, so yay. Something else that is really cool, Kaiba actually does not need his support stand at all. Well, it's good to have it, but he can definitely balance on his own. And I can show you this. Just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. He does not need a support stand. So, even though he is not super highly articulated, he can balance really well. Accessories time, and I do have to say that overall for Kaiba, we do get a decent amount for the standard version, where we get a plethora of extra hand parts, we get one extra faceplate, and we get a total of 3 interchangeable eye parts. We do also get a yelling face for the Figma Yami Yugi, a dual disc. Obviously, we do get the Figma support stand, and we do get a briefcase, which is blank. Unfortunately, you have to open up the Figma Kaiba box and use the cardboard in the background to add in the cards there. But thankfully, we do get the single card and the full hand of cards like we did with Yami Yugi. Yeah, because, you know, a little extra decal in there was just way too much for them. However, if you were fortunate enough to order this through Good Smile directly, which you can no longer do, so I'm just covering this for those folks who would like to see it, you do get one enemy controller accessory, and it's kind of garbage. Yeah, you'll see why in a minute. Anyway, let's go ahead and start with the extra hands that he comes with, because, wow, there are plenty of these. We do get a set of splayed hands. We do get a set of hands, so this way he can carry the briefcase. We do get 2 right hand parts, so this way he can hold the individual cards. We get 1 left hand part, so we can hold the hand of cards. And then we do get a right pointing hand part, so this way he's actually pointing at something. So yeah, lots of hands here. Tons of different display options. So let's take a look at some of the things that he can hold, like first and foremost, the single card. This is exactly the same as the one that came with the Figma Yami Yugi, so there's not too much to see here. Just like the full hand of cards accessory that we get, that also came with Yami Yugi as well. Now do keep in mind we get 2 right hand parts, so this way he can hold the individual card, and we get 1 left hand part to hold the full hand. Now we're going to take a look at that briefcase, and I do have to say it's kind of underwhelming, mostly because they didn't learn anything from the Figma Skyward Sword link, which you thought they would have, considering how old that was. Now on the inside, there's no detailing because you do have to break apart the cardboard and pop it into the briefcase if you did want to use it, which, you know, some folks are going to do that because they want the full experience. Other folks won't, because if they ever go to resell it, that may dock them a couple of bucks. But anyway, getting Kaiba to hold this is actually pretty disappointing. The reason being is that the Figma wrist joint, which by the way, I did not get an extra one with mine. Yeah, is a little weak in comparison to this very heavy briefcase. So whenever you have Kaiba holding it, he tends to go limp wrist with it, or his whole hand might just actually pop off of the wrist joint. So that is fantastic designing there. And the best way you get Kaiba to hold onto this is that you just have to force the handle, which is actually held on by a pretty thin amount of plastic, into the hand and then pop that onto the wrist. So yes, do not pull the pommel off of Link's sword. You're going to break it. How old is that figure? Anyway, yeah, they didn't do a good job designing this one here. They should have made the handle detachable. Anyway, next up, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the dual disc, which is similar in sculpt and paint application to Yugi's, except for we do have the forearm designed in Kaiba design scheme. So yeah, it's the same but different. Effectively, all the paint applications are going to be identical, so if you already have that one, you know exactly what you're looking at here. And they still went with the rather difficult way of swapping the parts out. Once you pull off the forearm for either the dual disc, if that's attached, or the normal forearm for Kaiba on the left arm there, you're probably going to have to fight with the Figma elbow joint to pull it out of the arm that's already attached and pop it into the alternate arm that you're going to use. That can be a pain. If you need help doing this, just apply heat and you should be good to go. Next up, we do have the alternate face plate, which is Kaiba yelling, and we do get a total of 3 different eye parts, one where he's looking forward, one to the left, and one to the right. Overall, we get a total of 6 different display combinations for Kaiba here, and all of them look creepy because it does look like there is a gap between the eyes and the faceplate, causing the eyes to sort of look sunk in, and it looks very uncanny. I do think that this is something that they should have fixed and thought a little bit more before they put this on the market, but still, that's what we get. And this is something that also extends to the alternate Yugi faceplate that we get as well, which is Yugi yelling. This was not included in the original Yugi release, so if you want a complete Yugi figure, you have to buy Kaiba. And as you can see here, a complete side-by-side comparison with one of the original Yugi faces, you can see that there is clearly something going on that is preventing the eyes from sliding in all the way. I think what happened here is there was some serious mold shrinkage, and it's not accommodating for the plastic parts for the eyes. So, overall for Kaiba, that is what you get for the standard release. If you happen to be lucky enough to get in an order through Good Smile Company, which you can no longer do, you get this enemy controller accessory here. And I do have to say, this is a really cool accessory, except for the fact that there is one flaw. Actually, the buttons on this do move, and that is pretty cool, but that is not the flaw here. You see, there is a hole on the back of the enemy controller, and it is intended for you to plug the Figma support stand into the hole here. However, once you do that, it's done. I had to literally break the Figma stand that plugged into the back of the enemy controller in order to pop it out. Yep. Kaiba stand is now ruined, which, by the way, is a little loose for the hole in the back of Kaiba. Yeah, that's really great. So you spend extra money and you don't get any product support because I've been tweeting and I've been emailing Good Smile and I have nothing to show for it now, except for a broken figure. That's great. Good job there. Anyway, overall, for display purposes, Kaiba comes with a solid amount of accessories, though admittedly, I do think we should have gotten something that was at least a Blue Eyes theme, because that is Kaiba's signature monster. But at the end of the day, did we get enough? I think we just get by with the absolute bare minimum. And here is a size comparison for you, where you can clearly see Kaiba alongside some other figures you just might have up on the shelf, so he will fit just well enough at home on your shelf. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. I am very conflicted here. Overall, I do like Kaiba as a character, and I do love the Blue Eyes White Dragon, and it's nice to have the leader, the ruler of the Blue Eyes White Dragon up on the shelf, alongside some of the other Blue Eyes figures that are indeed on the market. However, the Figma, no. This is definitely one that I think they could have tightened up the quality control on, maybe packed in another accessory too, and really hit that price point of around $80. But at the end of the day, Figma prices are going up, and the old $50 standard is now $70. So you're going to be paying more and probably getting less. Overall, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad figure, but this goes back to the age-old question, are you getting what you're paying for? And I have to say, not in this case. I do like Kaiba, but get him on a sale. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description, too, to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links, like the credits for this video, and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.